After spending a week with our son and daughter-in-law in New York, we flew to Salt Lake City to pick up our hired motorhome. We would be away for a month, visiting 12 different canyons as indicated. Today's show takes us to two of those canyons, Cedar Breaks and Zion. Cedar Breaks is only 404 kilometers from Salt Lake City, and the traffic along the motorway was light, so driving was comfortable. Rugged mountains with trees dotted the foreground and filled the valleys which led the way to signs of farmlands. Fuel stations are few and far between, so we were advised to fill up wherever possible. Most were self-service stations, and payment was made inside. Holiday resorts started appearing as we got closer to our destination. Cedar Breaks was established as a national park in 1933. Cedar refers to the juniper trees which grow on the slopes below the rim. Squirrels look completely different from ours, with a big head and large feet. Cedar Breaks is regarded as the baby first cousin of the larger and more popular Bryce Canyon. The word breaks describes the eroded areas where the edge of the plateau gets broken away to a lower area. Our second viewpoint is Cheeseman Ridge Overlook, and we leave the parking area and head for the rim. A guide explains the problems that trees are facing. While the bristlecone is resilient, others, such as the Engelmann spruce, are dying out. They are being attacked by the spruce bark beetle, which is about the size of a grain of rice. The paths to the rim are all paved, and we had the viewpoint almost to ourselves. Formation of the ridges, pinnacles and buttresses has been carved by summer rains, melting snow and freeze-thaw cycles. Snow is still visible in the hollows. Over 10 million years of erosion created the amazing natural amphitheater. It is huge, 762 meters deep and 4.8 kilometers across. Sunset View is our next stop, but it's not always possible to be there at the right time. During an average winter, 4.6 meters of snow falls, so the area becomes a popular cross-country ski and snowmobile area. The sandstone walls glow in various colors of gold, rose, purple and pink. The visitor center is 3,000 155 meters above sea level. So the sign says, "You may find yourself short of breath." Our final stop in Cedar Breaks is at Point Supreme, and the views from here are spectacular. Ancient waterways, faulting and erosion have all contributed to the beauty of this unique landscape. The various colors of gold, rose, purple and pink are vividly displayed. It is time to leave Cedar Breaks and head for Zion, 132 kilometers away. The sun is out and a natural forest of aspen trees frames the road. The landscape becomes more dramatic as we get closer to Zion. Tunnels have been carved in the rock face to enable traffic to reach Zion's main tourist attractions. Some of the rigs entering the campsite are massive and even tow a runaround vehicle. The motorhome we hired is the smallest in the range and was perfect for the two of us. A tourist shopping center is situated a few kilometers from the campsite and offered local crafts. Pottery is a popular tourist item and is easily transported. Dramatic circles of color adorn vases of different shapes and sizes. Wall decor is also on display, some depicting different cultures. The Zion Scenic Shuttle Bus operates from April to end October and stops at all view sites and trails. All trails are divided into easy, moderate, and strenuous, and also indicate wheelchair access and average round-trip duration. All stations are named to depict the scenery of that area. Zion National Park is located along the edge of a region known as the Colorado Plateau. It is interesting to note that the bottom layer of Zion is the top layer of the Grand Canyon. Weathered sandstone shines red and white and creates spectacular sculptured rocks and cliffs. The park features stunning scenery. These sandstone cliffs are among the highest in the world. Pine and juniper-clad slopes are a prominent feature of the towering rock face. These are slow-growing evergreens and are both cold and drought resistant. The horizontal lines, commonly called crossbedding, represent layers of wind-blown sand that built up into sand dunes. These dunes were buried and the sand grains glued together by calcite and iron oxide to form sandstone. Crossbedding can be seen all over the area. The geologic formations of Zion were formed over approximately 250 million years. Over time, rock layers have been uplifted, tilted, and eroded. The vertical lines seen here are actually shallow cracks that result from stress and erosion on the rock surface. These cracks are probably caused by expansion and contraction, temperature changes, and wetting and drying, or a combination of these processes. Some of the hollows formed hold moisture and have resulted in the growth of trees and shrubs. Some areas are rockier, showing a forested plateau. Zion was a relatively flat basin near sea level about 240 million years ago. As sands, gravels, and muds eroded from surrounding mountains, streams carried these materials into the basin and deposited them in layers. Desert bighorn sheep are often seen on the east side of the park. Rock squirrels prefer rocky terrain and can survive up to 100 days without water. We were lucky to spot the American robin amongst the trees. Zion is home to a variety of interesting lizard species, one of the most common being the plateau lizard. The mule deer has adapted to the desert heat with its large 23 centimeter ears, which help dissipate heat on a hot summer's day. The walls, which were carved by the Virgin River, are steep and so deep that sunlight rarely reaches the bottom. Plants occupy most of the nooks and crannies which contain moisture. The odd bit of sunlight filtering to the bottom of the canyon adds something extra to the blooms. A 1.7 kilometer tunnel had to be carved through vertical sandstone cliffs to give access to the park during the tourist season. Zion National Park was proclaimed a national park in 1919. The name Zion is a Hebrew word for refuge. The geology provided early pioneer farmers a combination rare in a desert: a wide, level place to grow food, a river to water it, and an adequate growing season. Navajo sandstone forms the spectacular cliffs which are geographically widespread. The formation reaches a thickness of 671 meters and consists almost entirely of desert dunes. High elevation plant species grow in soils that are both sedimentary and volcanic. Ancient bristlecone pines stand on the plateau rim as a testimony to endurance and survival. Closer down towards the flowing Virgin River, plants and trees cling to cracks and crevices wherever available. Even without the greenery, the cracks and the color add an artistic quality to the rock face. Bristlecone pines are perched on top of the naturally sculpted and colorful cliffs. These cliffs reach a height of 600 meters and were formed by sand dunes about 180 million years ago. A ribbon of green marks the river's course as diverse plants thrive in this canyon oasis. Walking sticks are available for hikes along the river's course. The water is icy but crystal clear. The Virgin River is a tributary of the Colorado River and is about 261 kilometers long. It flows at an average speed of 18 kilometers per hour and empties into the Colorado at the Lake Mead Reservoir. Shortly after midday, the sun disappears from the edges of the cliff face to reveal colorful patterns in red, purple, blue, brown, and white. In close proximity to the waterfall, the walls of the canyon remain wet, supporting plant growth. Cracks and caving rockfalls are caused by a continuous flow of water and constant temperature changes. Back in the sunshine, the colors of the rock face are more dramatic and vibrant. Cracking sidewalls are clearly evident in this example. In certain areas, triangular blocks have been created with relatively smooth edging. Heading back to our campsite, more greenery appears and the rocky cliffs get lower. Trees perched on top of the cliff start coming into view. We are back at the bus terminus for a short walk to our motorhome. Sadly, it is time to leave Zion, with the famous peaks peering at us in the distance.